Hey y'all, welcome back to Colorful Situations, where we have conversations about love, marriage, and everything in between. I'm Sunny.
Hey, hey. And I'm your girl, Liv. How you, girl?
Green. I'm peaceful. I'm peaceful. Don't I sound peaceful?
No, not really. Anyway, this is Colorful Situation, a podcast where everyday women talk about everyday issues that affect relationship without the pretty bow. So that's our concept, but you also know that in doing so, we always try to identify our feelings, where we are, how we feeling today, what's our mood, what's your mood. Hopefully you've been using that good little tool down there. With that, how you feeling?
Green. Don't I sound like it? Peaceful. I'm green, as usual. I don't have anything bogging me down. As long as I can take a nap and make sure me and my wife good, I'm green. So you changed me? Oh, thank you.
As soon as I asked, I should just hit green.
Pretty much.
So today I am going to be yellow.
What is
I'm
yellow?
gonna be yellow because I'm hopeful. I'm pretty much hopeful. We've heard a lot of different things about this. It's getting a little bit easier.
Yes. Kind of, sort of.
We're gelling a little bit more, which we've always gelled.
That's what I was gonna say. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but it's a little bit harder when it's harder, like our everyday stuff that we do outside and be kooky or whatever. It just, the first couple of episodes that I saw, it was like, oh, wait a minute. It didn't really translate through the film.
Right.
But now that I'm watching it and we got a couple under our belt, it's getting easier.
We're coming on along.
We're coming along. I'm just hopeful. I'm just hopeful for us just to continue to grow, for it to continue to touch people. We're getting a lot of views.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting a lot of views.
A lot.
I'm able to be kooky and creative. So I'm hopeful. I'm yellow.
Okay. Sounds good. That's exciting. I'm excited too.
Yeah.
I'm still green though.
I should change it to yellow, but whatever. So anyway, y'all know how we roll. We checked in with each other, and now we're going to talk about something. So today we're talking about spin cycle. Have you ever found yourself on repeat? Just repeat, just doing the same thing. Oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. Do it again. Oh, I'm not going to ever let so and so do this again. And I'm not ever going to let that happen. Happens again. I'm not going to eat that ice cream. I may or may not be talking about myself. I'm not going to eat ice cream no more. You do it again. So you just in this spin cycle. You just in this circle type of motion, doing the same thing, thinking that you're going to get a different outcome.
I have.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's hard getting out of habits. Because ultimately you're in a habit. You're in a habit of doing something that you're going to try to break. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
You know, you have to really, you got to make a plan.
Yes.
Well, this is all getting into the resolves. But I mean, ultimately, is you got to make a plan. You got to stick to it. You got to pray about it. You got to have good support system. Long story short.
That is true. That is true. And habits, you know, they're there. And some of our habits have become hibernators within our personality. They have become embedded in who we are. And you hear some people say, "Oh, that's just who I am." No, it's not really your personality. It's something, a trait or a habit that you picked up that you're just not willing to let go because now you've done it for so long, it is set into you.
But how do you tell the difference in what's a habit and what's just me?
Well, like cutting people off when they talk, just being rude. Some people always be like, "Oh, I'm direct." Well, there's a difference in being direct and being rude. Direct is, you got something on your lip there. Can you get that? Rude is, yeah, you got something in your mouth in front of everybody in a tone that is embarrassing to your friend.
Okay. Okay.
So if you're a straight shooter, that's in your personality, but your tone is not a part of your personality.
That's what makes the difference. That's what...
when you say it, it's not part of your personality, right?
So when you say it, how you say it. That's what the people say anyway. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah. And those are things that you can change. Things that are your personality, you're not able to change. That's how you know the difference in personality and just a habit that is just stuck on you.
Well, I think about a good friend of mine that when we have conversations, and like we've been having conversations for years, and one, we know what each other's talking about every time. So, but we go in and out of conversations, and when we cut each other off, it's because we know that we might forget what it is that we're going to say. So we put it out there so that we can come back to it and focus on it. You know what I mean? So I think it has to do with dynamic and relationship as well.
It could.
As well as tone. And
it could, because I do have a situation where that was just told to me that the interjection should be possible, but when you're interjecting at a tone of a 10 and I'm at a tone of a 2, I'm not going to take that interjection very well, just because now it's about you trying to talk over me. And so what's the difference with that?
That control?
Interjection and trying to talk over. Is that one and the same?
It's both a part of control. That makes then that person becomes defensive, and that just tears everything down.
It does. So some habits are not very good habits, and some habits are just not habits, but just stuff that you pick up along the way because you felt like you've had to do that. So how do you get out of that spin cycle if you find yourself in it? So your girl always got questions. That's just how my mind works. Analyzer. I'm an analyzer, so I've been told. Anyway,
you and you, honey. That's between you and you.
First question: why are habits so hard to break?
Because after a while, they're embedded in you. And it's just a part of you. Like my habit. I know that I have to, and this is not necessarily just like something else, but in thinking about your routine, my routine, I get up in the morning, I make sure everything is good, I let my dog out, food, get myself ready to go to work. That's just if I had to break it, then stuff might be all out of whack. And I know that's kind of different, a routine and a habit, but it's kind of the same.
Kind of?
You think so? You don't think so? You don't think that a routine and a habit?
I feel like eating chalk is a habit. I feel like sucking your teeth when you talk is a habit.
You saw my face change? I'm listening.
I feel like, but the fact that you can plan how your day goes, a routine, that's not a habit. That's what you do. But what is a little thing?
That's what I do.
But do you get up and then do that before you can start your day?
If I need to clean something, so you saying, so if I need to get something out of my teeth and I just that's a habit?
I'm saying every day. If you do it every day on the hour, and these are small habits that we're talking about now.
Yeah,
we're
having fun.
We may be talking about some deeper habits that
that impact your everyday relationships. Okay. Let's get there.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get there. We do know that it's hard to break because they are embedded in us. So, next question. Do they affect other people? And if they do affect other people so bad, why do you continue to do it?
So I think, of course, our habits impact other people, especially when you live with
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah.
Y'all just have y'all meshed together as one. Then what I do is going to impact you no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think habits impact other people.
Mm-hmm.
About what if they impact people so that it's negative? Why do you keep doing it? Because it's embedded in me. But you want me to say, I know what you want me to say. Well, and this is me playing devil's advocate. Well, I do this because it's embedded in me, but because I know that you have a problem with it, I'll work on it.
Ding 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 ding.
I feel like that's something good, but it depends on what it is.
Okay.
If it's something that's not taking you so far out of your character, or if it's something that's easily fixed, or something that you could put off until you leave the house to go to work, or if it's something that I could just do by myself, if it's something like that, I can alter myself around you. You know what I mean? So
okay.
I think it just depends on what it is.
Just depending on what it is. So if it is a habit that um, affects the other person, and it does so in a way where it's hurtful, and they express that it's hurtful, you then have to ask yourself what's more important. This armor or this thing that I have let embed in me because I'm using it as a defense mechanism.
Crutch, yeah.
I'm using it as a crutch, or I'm using it to keep people at a certain distance, and this person is telling me that it's pushing them away. Do I evaluate, hey, I know this is something I do. This is not the first person that has said this. This has not been. So then when do you say, okay?
You have to be dealing with a person that's self-aware and the person that's willing. You have to be dealing with a person that's self-aware. Because if you come to me and say, babe, what you doing? I don't like it. And it's not even that it's gonna kill me or anything, but it makes me uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable. When my wife drives, let me get my wife. My wife can drive like a race car. She's the best driver I know. So when my wife drives, she has this thing where she'll instead of slowing down, she'll kind of just do a hard stop where I have to do like this every time. So when we get in the car, babe, I want to let you know that it makes me uncomfortable and it scares me when you do that. And she'll say, okay, babe, I'll try. I sometimes have to remind her like 2 seconds later because that's a part of the habit.
Yeah.
That I have to remind her like 2 minutes later, like, babe, I just told you that it scares me when you're doing this and I can't even look down on my phone and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is that I'm doing because I have to be focused on it. But that's just the way that she drives. So that's a habit for her. And she's willing to try. She's willing to hear me. She's willing to say, okay, well, yeah, I could do it a little different. Yeah. It do make sense for me to slow down back there instead of, so you have to have a person that is self-aware and willing.
That is true. That is true. And on the flip side, let me play devil's advocate. Sometimes our stuff that is an irritation for us may be something that we're calling a habit, but it may not be something that they do as much as we think they do. So, like an example, if someone goes in and they put the white clothes in the dark clothes hamper, or the dark clothes in the white clothes hamper that's clearly got white clothes in them, it's an irritation for me, but that's really probably not a habit for that other person, right? But it's an irritation because I'm like, it clearly is dark. Why would you put that outside? But it's because they're not looking. They're just going and they're just throwing it in there. But that's not a habit. It's just that they're going out the door or, whatever may have you. Never really washed clothes like that. Maybe they're just a person that had one hamper and then all the clothes go together and you separate it when you take it to the washer. So that's probably really not a habit or a spin cycle, right? But it's an irritation for me. So I'm like, that's a habit. You're in a spin cycle. No, not really.
Irritation. I think that's a different stuff because if you ask my wife, honey, she'll tell you that everything irritates me.
So I know, like, for me, a habit that has affected other people, that is really not my personality or who I am, but it has become that way because out of situations, I realize that I have anxiety around other people feeling a certain way. And so because of that, I overthink everything. I want to fix everything. So I can see one thing and my mind is off and I'm thinking about XYZ. And if she says this and then I do this and then I say that and then this is going to happen. And now here I am trying to fix and cut off. Shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Yeah.
When they had not even been there. So that's a bad spin cycle for me that I have been in. And it just came out of maybe not, I don't even want to call it a defense mechanism, but it came out of me trying to make sure that everything was so okay.
Gotcha.
That my life wouldn't be so off if I just fixed everything. So now I'm just overthinking everything. And that's not part of my personality because really, who I am as a person, I'm really kind of a free kind of person that thinks outside the box. But in certain situations, in relationships, I'm an overthinker because I want to fix things.
I think that kind of goes into my controlling. Because if you're overthinking, you want to fix it so you can make sure that thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a part that goes with my controller. So that means that you can come to the meeting with me. Yeah. That means that she's going to be at the control anonymous group with me. So yeah. So no. I think I'm not even sure where my controlling nature comes from, besides the fact that I want things done the way that I want them to be done. And I know that it impacts others, specifically my wife. Because when it comes to me wanting something done, and because I could ask her to do something and I'm looking at her do it, hey, you don't do that like that. Even though I know that it's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
So she's actually taught me patience. Well, listen. She's taught me patience. You don't even understand. But I understand now that even though I already knew that it was one way to skin a cat, that she could do it.
Yeah.
She could do it if I give her a chance. I still have to watch over. To make sure she do it just because that's me. But yeah. So yeah, we'll be at the meeting again.
Yeah. And so that just goes to show that there are things and habits that we do that do affect other people that, it's not part of our personality, but it's really hard to break. Now, the people say that it takes 21 days to even create a habit, right? So if you're doing something over time and now it just becomes this thing that you do, it's not going to change in 2 days.
Right.
It takes 21 days to start a healthy habit or to start something different that will not affect that other person. But you have to be intentional.
Intentional, willing, open, all of that. Yeah. So, and that could be kind of hard too.
Yeah.
That could be hard too. Because, at one point you could be like, I'm I'm changed, because some people are. I'm changing. I shouldn't have to change for anybody. I
Yes.
should be able to be who I am. And you know what? A lot of people say, and
Yes.
I don't want to get off, but a lot of people say, oh, well, they don't feel like when they get in a relationship, they have to change things. But when you
Yeah.
get in a relationship and you mesh yourself with another person's self, you have to adapt yourself. Or y'all going to be two, what is it? Two ships sailing in two different
Two
directions.
opposite directions.
Yeah. You have to, for those people that do get to the point where they say, I don't have to change myself. I shouldn't have to change this. I shouldn't have to change that. You do. And that's a part of what it is. That's a part of what we're talking about.
That is a part. Habits. Yeah, it is a part of what we're talking about, because some habits serve you well when you're single.
Right.
And then when you get aligned, those habits may not serve you well, because now you don't have to do that on your own.
Right. Right.
Someone else is there, or you can't do that because someone else is there. So at the end of the day, it just really is about what it is. And or you may be doing something that you did not know was not a good thing until someone comes along to show you that A, there's a different way of doing it. B, that's not really a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it is when you get with someone, you don't really know who you are. I've heard somebody say, you don't really know who you are or the things that you're doing until you get in a marriage. Or until you get in a committed relationship, because that person is a mirror to show you who and what you really do. So when you start seeing these things, when you're by yourself, it doesn't affect you. So again, you're just going to keep doing the same thing. Right? But when it affects someone else, that's when it's a catalyst for change.
Because there are people that's probably going to point it out.
That's going to point it out.
Why are you, what kind of,
yeah,
you're in a relationship, you can't.
That's going to point it out.
That makes me think about my wife. And I know we're talking about self, but that makes me think about my wife. And she would tell me that before we got together, of course she was single, doing whatever it was that she wanted to do, and she was going what she wanted to do, and all of this other kind of stuff. But she would do things and not let me know what was happening. So she was like, oh, well, I haven't had to tell anybody anything or notify anybody where I'm going, or or even think about anybody else with the things that I'm doing for such a long time. So now that I'm in a relationship, it took her a minute to get it. It took her a minute to get it. Hand around her neck. But it took her a minute to get it. But I'm grateful that she did get it. Yeah. Because it would be it would have been a real problem if she hadn't. So
and then too, I've heard you say before, there are some things that come up, y'all work through it changed, and then on the 25th day,
gotta go back and talk about it again.
it happens again, because it is a habit that is something that you're comfortable with. Right. And a lot of times, and we didn't even talk about this part, is the fact that we're just doing these things because it's comfortable.
Yeah, comfort.
We don't want to step out of our comfort zone, even though it may be beneficial. But you'll never see what you'll get from it if you don't step out there.
And you have to, everything, when you're in a relationship, all of that stuff goes.
Right.
When you connect, I always say, when you connect yourself, bond yourself with another person, you got to let all that stuff go. I mean, not all of it, because you still have to have some stuff for yourself. Therapy 101. I'm not talking about all of that. I'm not talking about all of that. But that stuff that you have to let go because you're bonded to another person, you got to let it go, or you're not going to be able to be successful.
Yeah. I was just going to say, or the stuff that you're holding on to in this spin cycle that does not serve the relationship, that does not serve you, because we are supposed to elevate and grow
together. And separately.
Together and separately.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't even grow separately because you're in this spin cycle. You're going in a circle. You're going in a circle. You're doing the same things that you have done. You're calling the same person, which you know is a booty call, even though you know this person doesn't have any love for you, but you keep going back to it because you're comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just stepping out of that comfort and getting what is due to you, but you can't get it because you keep in this whole cycle of something that you know does not serve you. Stuck.
I think that's an anonymous class too.
It is.
So,
and we're gonna have one.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we always got to check these levels. Always got to check these levels. So, if you are going in circles and you feel like every time you turn around, you're taking a right, and then every time something, you're taking another right, and you just find yourself doing the same thing over and over again, even though you know it's not serving you, even though you want to do something different, you want to be different, whatever that is, you, my friend, are in a colorful situation and you're in the red.
And if you feel like me, this time I'm not agreeing. This time, and I'm going to say, well, I'll say in certain situations. Mm-hmm. Because if you are like in a relationship, there are ups and downs and ups and downs. And sometimes it's the same up and the same down.
Yes.
And you're just keep going through it. You're in the yellow, but we can talk through it.
Yeah.
We're going to talk through it and we're going to still work. We're going to keep working on it. Then, that's yellow. Like I said, that's yellow. But if y'all good, y'all perfect and got everything under control, you're in the green. Good job.
Good job, not everybody. You just ain't in there. This ain't been your season. That's what I was going to say. You on the rent cycle. You ain't on the spin cycle. Holding. It's coming back.
You holding in a holding pattern.
So we're gonna, we tapped into a little bit of some resolves there. But the first thing would be, like my good friend said, try to be self-aware. Evaluate what you're really doing. See what serves you and what does not serve you so that you can try a different habit.
And be willing. You have to be open and willing. And I know we're talking about self, but we still have to be willing to do this for ourselves to prepare us for whatever is next, whether it be in a relationship, in your career, just in your life in general. You have to be open and willing to make changes that, as my good friend says, are not serving you.
Yeah. So once you're self-aware and you pick it out, once you're willing and open, make a plan. Mm-hmm. Make a plan. Figure out how to get there. Even if you have to research, even if you have to set an alarm or do whatever you need to do, or even if you just establish some accountability.
That's even better.
Accountability will change some things for you, right? So those are our resolves.
Going back, hold on. So, in talking about accountability, the best person is talking about relationships again. The best person to be your accountability partner is your partner.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if your partner can't hold you up, then why are they there? I shouldn't say why are they there, but that's a part of your job when you're connected with someone, is to hold them accountable for what's going on, for what you're doing. And they can do the same for you.
Yeah. Yep. True.
That's support. That's support.
That is support. And if you are single, or if you're divorced, or if you don't have a partner at this moment, you have some friend or someone.
Well, we are building a tribe over here at Colorful Situations, where we have conversations about love, marriage, and everything in between.
Ding. That part. So, like she said, find someone who can hold you accountable, and be that for yourself as well. Hold yourself accountable.
Now, we like to be an interactive show over here at Colorful Situations, and we want to hear from y'all. So, our questions today are: have you ever found yourself on a spin cycle? doing the same things over and over and over and getting the same results. I don't even, did we talk about getting the same results?
Just a little bit.
If you're doing the same thing over and over and over and getting the same results over and over and over, what's your reasoning behind it? Or not even, you don't even have to tell us your reason, but if you want to tell us about it, that's good, you know. If that's you, how did you resolve the situation? How did you get out of it? How did you get out of it? What did you do? Did you get a coach? Did you get a counselor? Did you go to therapy? Did you just wake up one day and say, you know what, this is not working for me. Let me do something different. What are you doing to keep, the last question is, what are you doing to keep yourself out of that cycle? Instead of going around in a circle, now you can go, instead of going around 285, now you can go straight up 20 east, straight up 75 north, I-10, you know, 80, all of that kind of stuff. So we want to know. We want to hear from you guys.
Yes.
Drop down in the comments and let us know.
That part. That part. So y'all know what we were talking about. We were talking about spin cycle, when you just continue to do the same thing. And as we all know, people say continuing to do the same thing but expecting a different outcome is insanity. So if you know that you're doing something where it's taking you back to something that is not serving you, or if it's a habit that you're doing that you've heard somebody else say, well, why you do that? And then you get into something else and they say, well, why you do that? And it's the same thing.
It's a sign.
It's a sign. You may be in a, or if you're just telling yourself, Liv, you're going to go 20 days without eating ice cream. And on the third day, you eat ice cream. And on the sixth day, you eat ice cream. And on the ninth day, you eat ice cream. Every 3 days, you eat an ice cream. Liv, you in a spin cycle. Figure that out. That's
find you something else to do, Liv.
Find myself something else to do. That's what we're talking about, right? So our resolve was to self-evaluate. Be aware of who you are. Be open. Be open that you really need to have that change. And in being open, find yourself an accountability partner so that somebody could support you, to hold you up, to hold you accountable to just doing better and being better. And I think I just want to add to that being open part. Not everybody that tells you something is against you. Don't take it as in someone trying to point out fault in you. And just know that if you get so defensive about it or cut up about it, it's because you truly know that it's an issue that affects other people.
That was good.
So if you feel that way, let's get out of this spin cycle.
Thank y'all for tuning in today. We would ask that you like, share, subscribe, comment. You know, we are all on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, of course, over at Spotify
and Apple Podcasts.
And remember, not all colorful situations are the same, but you have the power to change your hue.